It is the Happy Camper Radio Show, episode 265. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper, and you can be a happy camper too. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, here I am.
Glad to have you back here in the studio with us again.
Absolutely.
Hey, on today's show, we have a very special guest. Now, can you imagine, you're a camper like I am. You get to a lot of campgrounds, a lot of campsites, and you meet a lot of people, but sometimes you got to be by yourself.
It's nice.
It is, okay?
I like a buffer. Even if I am at a campsite, I like a buffer.
Imagine having a place to go.
A big buffer.
It's just you, full hookups, and nature around you.
Love it.
We're going to talk to the owner of such a campground today. On this edition of Happy Camper Radio, episode 265 is coming at you right now.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
And, of course, the Happy Camper Radio Show can be heard all around the world by great listeners just like yourself. You can find us in the iTunes Store, Podbean, Stitcher, a whole host of podcast directories. There's plenty of them out there. Put Happy Camper Radio in your search engine, and I guarantee you're going to find us there because we've been doing this a really long time.
How long, Skip?
Well,
10 years.
We've been talking about that. We'll probably be talking about the 10-year on our 11th anniversary.
There we go.
Yeah. But, you know, the neat thing about this is, Daniel, every week we come in the studio, okay? When we don't have some gaps in between, there's always something to talk about when it comes to camping. And we always have wonderful guests on the program. Okay, there's always somebody that's, you know, getting in touch with us, wanting to be on the program, and we're learning something new just about every time that we sit down here behind the microphone. So, you know, it's educational for us.
It's a big world.
It's educational for all of our listeners out there.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what keeps me going. Keeps me wanting to do the very next episode of Happy Camper Radio. But anyway, if you don't find us there on any of those podcast directories, you can find us on the web. We're there 24/7 at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. And, of course, you want to catch Daniel and I in the studio, we now do it on YouTube.
Hey, doing it live.
We do our show on YouTube. Yeah, click on this little box down here in the lower left-hand corner. It's got a pup tent inside of it. All you got to do is click on that. You'll be a subscriber to the show, Happy Camper Radio. Well, Daniel, we have a very special guest coming on the program today. And her email caught my attention here real quick because, you know, I'm the kind of a guy, I like camping with a lot of folks, but sometimes I just want to be by myself. Me and Sadie out there, you know, with no interruptions, nothing like that. And this is one campsite that you can go visit. And she's going to be here to talk about it today. Julie Chris now joins us on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy Camper Radio.
Julie, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Thank you, Skip. I'm fantastic, and I'm all happy after listening to your intro music. So I'm excited to talk about what we're doing out here.
Oh, wonderful. Now, as Daniel and I were just talking before we brought you on here, you have got a campsite that you converted into just a private setting, and it's got full hookups for if you want to go on back there, and you don't have to worry about water, you don't have to worry about electricity or sewage. But the fact is, you don't have anybody camping around you. And I find that is a very unique and comforting camping environment. Why did you build such a site?
We had RV'd for probably 4 or 5 years. We went up the Alcan, we went down Baja, we went all over the place. And we were both sort of used to the idea of camping being you're out by yourself someplace in nature. And of course, most of the time in an RV, that's not the case. You're more like RV traveling, where you're maybe going to a park with facilities, and that's nice. I mean, it's nice to not have to worry about your tanks filling up or running out of water or any of that. But we found that there were times we would just really have liked to go really camping out in the woods, just us, and take the kids and let them run around like wild animals. And you certainly cannot do that in an RV park. So we ended up with a piece of property that is about 2-3 acres that has beautiful cedars and aspens, and it's nice and cool back in there. And it's actually one end of the property that we're on. And we would go over there, look at it, and think, oh, there's got to be something we can do with this because it's just beautiful. And so we finally decided to give this a try. It was something that we would have loved to have done when we were RVing. And so it was a matter of literally carving it out of the forest. Before we started, we stood on the county road looking at this wall of brush and trees. And then we just started hacking our way in there with an excavator and a front loader, and built this thing for one party at a time with up to 2 rigs.
Okay. So how often do you have folks come in there with 2 rigs?
We have just opened. I mean, this, last month, basically, we got this thing set up. So, I mean, we haven't had our first customer yet because we're brand new.
Okay.
Also, we are really sort of hidden. This whole part of the state is kind of a well-kept secret. People in this area in the Northwest tend to think of Eastern Washington as the desert. And so they don't really know, but we're up at about 3,200 feet in the forest. And so it's cooler. We have a bunch of wildlife, and it's when the weather's like it is now out here, it's a refuge basically because of all the shade and the trees and all of that. So I forgot your question. What was your question?
Well, yeah, we're asking about, how many people have you had there already as far as, 2 rigs set up?
Nope.
Yeah, but you're just now getting started. You're now just opening up with this here. Okay.
Well, I know that on VRBO or the other one, I forgot what it's called. They have like
Airbnb.
Airbnb. They have campsites that or they have campers that you can stay in, kind of like a hotel. Have you looked into them? Would they let you do like just a spot, or have you done anything with that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I haven't done anything with that yet.
Oh.
And we actually have considered getting an RV for people to use.
Yeah.
Our plan has been at least to probably at some point put a mobile restroom.
Oh.
We have the hookup. Yeah, we put the hookups out for that, because we have amazing tent sites in the trees also available. And we are on a scenic loop.
Yeah.
It's the Selkirk something or other. I can't remember what they call it. But we have bicycle tours coming through
on
the highway all the time.
Cool.
And I think it would be a blast to have, bike. There's nowhere else to camp around here for those guys. They have to go to town and camp in the fairgrounds, which is sort of dismal.
Yeah.
And so it would be a blast to have a place for them to camp and clean up and all of that. So we would need a restroom for that.
Yeah.
And then I know some RVers like to have a restroom. They don't want to use their own shower or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, you say the internet is spotty in that area. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah. We had a newspaper come out to do a story on us a couple of weeks ago, and the 3 of us were all sitting around checking our phones, and nobody had a signal. But I know in parts of the property, and I think you just walk down the driveway to the county road, sometimes people get signals depending on what service they're with. So
this would be an ideal spot to get Daniel to finally put his phone down when he is out there camping.
Yeah, but I'm looking for trails. I'm looking for, I'm looking up like what kind of wildlife is in that part of the country, because I know woods here are like, oaks, maples, and pine trees, but up there, I mean, cedar is my favorite smell in the world. And I've watched a bunch of backpacking videos of people doing the CDT or the PCT. And like, once they get to Washington, it's a whole nother kind of woods. It looks gorgeous out there. So that's the kind of internet I'm doing. Don't think I'm, on Twitter or whatever. I'm looking up, adventure stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you're hoping to come out here and work online, it's probably not going to be the place for you. And actually, this place is, I would say, only for people that are looking for specific experience. So we are low tech, and occasionally throughout the year we lose power. I don't know why we lose power in the summer, but sometimes that happens too. So you have to be able to just sort of roll with it. This is real, like really living in the woods, real for real. And,
and sometimes I think you got to go back to the basics. There was a time when internet did not exist. There was a time when cell phones and pagers didn't exist. And I think sometimes it feels good just to go back, even for a moment, to that way of life. Where you can enjoy the environment that's always been there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I actually like going places where I don't have the cell service, because it's like a reset. You get so used to thinking, oh, I'm just going to check my phone. Well, yeah, so here you can't. And so you have to actually engage in reality on reality's own level, which I think is kind of fun myself. But a lot of people might not like that. And on top of that, we've got wild animals all over the place out there. And a lot of people would probably be freaked out by that idea too.
Now, Julie, you and your husband have camped for quite a few years, correct?
Right.
Okay. And I'm sure you probably have had your fair share of crowds at campgrounds. And I'm talking crowds of people in some campgrounds where, you know exactly of the conversation everybody had next door to you.
That's right.
Yeah. And I can understand, you can only take so much of that. I love the crowds.
People walking in,
I love the crowds.
Walking their dogs and looking in the windows and stuff.
Yeah. You've got to get away from that. And, I hate to say it. I mean, it's a constant gripe of mine. There's a lot of beautiful campgrounds out there, some of which are on the ocean, some of which I want to visit. But, a lot of these big campgrounds, and I'm going to refer to them as the corporate-run campgrounds, these are the ones that are taking the chapter out of the playbook of the airlines. Well, let's go ahead and we'll cram all these seats together. We'll put more people in there. Oh, by the way, we'll raise the rates too, okay? And get as many people in there as you possibly can. And I see a lot of this happening with a lot of the big corporate-run campgrounds. And these are the kind of campgrounds that I've just got to avoid. And I'm not saying, that's the case in all places. The Army Corps sites and the state park campgrounds like Daniel's been to are pretty nice and wide open, but still sometimes you got to be by yourself. You got to get away. You've got to get, just you and the family out there and hit the reset button. And in this part of the town where you're in, this is Washington State, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
Okay.
Eastern Washington.
This is a place for you to go ahead and bring the kids, bring the family, and everybody just let their hair down.
Yeah, absolutely. And not have to worry about, if the kids go out and come back covered with mud, you can hose them off and not have to worry about your water running out or your tanks filling up. And we have a lot of hunting that goes on out here. I'm hoping we get hunters. It'd be nice to be able to clean up after you've been out tromping around in the woods all day, hunting as well. And a lot of these new campgrounds, well, any campground, you can't really let your kids and your dog run around and,
right,
eat dirt and sniff trees or whatever. And out here, you not only could do that, you could probably walk around naked if you wanted to, and nobody's going to see you. In fact, when we had a journalist out doing an interview on us, we sat there. In the first place, people come up to this place, and the first thing out of their mouth is "This is amazing," and we sat there for probably an hour talking, and not a single car went by on the road down below. And you could hear the wind in the trees. You could hear the stream down below, and the birds were just going crazy. You could just hear all sorts of birds. That one of the journalists, the writers, was a bird person, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I just don't ever hear these birds, anywhere." So yeah, it's kind of a little hidden secret. In fact, people have to actually call us to, make their reservation and get the directions, because Google Maps can't handle it. We're far enough out and rural enough that they just don't get it right. So if you try to follow that, they'll take you to the wrong place.
Now, how difficult was it for you to get utilities into there?
Well, it was not too bad because we had utilities we had power along the county road. And putting in the septic was the biggest challenge because I wanted, so this thing is carved into the side of a mountain, and the whole thing is kind of a slope. Of course, the camping area is all leveled out, but we put in the septic ourselves, and I wanted it big enough that somebody comes in with a good sized rig and pulls the plug, and they dump it all in there at once so that it could handle it. So that was our probably the most intensive part of the project, we did the whole thing ourselves. So thank gosh we have heavy equipment to do it with.
Okay.
And then we actually got the water over there from our existing water system. We burrowed our water line under the road, and so that was an interesting thing. But yeah, we have about three water faucets over there, 3 hydrants. Basically, they're frost-free hydrants. People could do winter camping there if they wanted to. They had heated tanks. The hydrants are designed so that you can do that. But we would, obviously need to know because we have to clear the snow. We have about 3 feet of snow on the ground all winter long.
I was just about to ask you what your winters were like up there. We haven't seen snowstorms like that out here.
We haven't seen snow in about 3 years.
Yeah. Now, do your sites offer 30 and 50 amp service?
Yeah. So we have 2 sets of hookups. One box, kind of the main box, is 30 and 50, and then the second box is 30.
Okay. All right. So you can handle just about any size rig that can come in there. Right.
We have not tried cramming. I don't think we're going to get a 40-foot fifth wheel in there. I think that's probably more. I mean, unless you're a fantastic backer-upper, I don't think you're going to get in there. We designed it so that we had as much possible maneuvering room as we could cut out. So you pull up and then you back in, and we built it so that you can see exactly where you have to back into. We made it as user-friendly as possible because we've backed a lot of RVs up ourselves. But yeah, I would say 30, probably 35 we could get in there. And we're always available to help people, if they need help doing that.
Yeah, well, my size of RV would get in there. I've got a 32-footer. So, yeah, that would be no problem at all. But this is also one of the campgrounds, or let's just call it a campsite because that's exactly what it is. This is one of the things that you want to encourage your customers and tell them, look, before you come on out here, before you park your rig, do your grocery shopping ahead of time. Bring everything you need to bring because the closest town is, 12 miles away?
Right. Yeah, it is. So, yeah. You don't want to be running back and forth to town. It wastes a lot of time, and it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I completely understand
I'd still run to town. That's just the way I do it. I love to check out new grocery stores and, different areas everywhere I go. Just, get the lay of the land and, But we'd probably only be going once.
Yeah. What kind of wildlife do you get out there, Julie?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we have... this is a turkey mecca. So this is like the turkey hunter's paradise out here. We have bunches of turkeys. We have a moose. We have an area in the stream, kind of at the bottom of the driveway that the moose like to bed down in. So you'll, see moose fairly often. We've got predators. We definitely have those guys. Not sure how. Let me see if I can move here. That's kind of one of the things that I would like to talk to people before they come out, to make sure that they are comfortable and that they understand, how to live in the woods with the predators. Because we have bears. If you look on my website, you'll see a picture of one of our little black bears trying to help himself to my bird feeder on my front porch. And then we have coyotes, wolves, cougars, you name it. We have a huge variety of wildlife out here.
Wow, and I think common sense would tell a lot of people, put your food up at nighttime, bring it into the RV with you. Don't leave a pan of bacon grease out, unless you want to invite the entire bear family into your campground. That's exactly what you'll be doing.
Do you have like a bear kind of a dumpster or something, or like
bear-proof stand?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually on our design list.
Yeah.
At this point, we've just decided that until we get that, and we're probably going to stick a steel pipe into the ground and put a lid on it, basically.
Okay.
But until that point, we'll just have people, let us know when they need their trash picked up.
Yeah.
We got a variety of things we're looking at, but yeah, for sure. And the other thing too is to keep an eye on your pets. You can let them run around, but you want to make sure they come back. And the predators are not stupid. Once they figure out where they can pick up free meals, they will be watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people aren't careful, they're going to start developing habits of hanging around there. So we don't want that to happen.
Have you ever heard of bear bells? Have you ever heard of that? I was thinking about that.
We live in Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't go hiking in the mountains in Alaska without bear bells on.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't know if you hung them up around the area and stuff.
The bears out here are not really. They're sort of like big dogs. I lived in Kodiak, Alaska, and those are the biggest bears.
Yeah, those are like grizzlies,
America.
right?
Yeah, they are big Kodiak grizzlies, and those are scary. These guys. I actually had one of our neighbors. He thought it was a dog. It was a chicken coop, and he kicked it in the butt on the way out the door, and then it sat down, and he realized it was a bear.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about, and the bears are scavengers for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be more concerned about the cougars and wolves,
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen wolves. I've heard them howl at a few. Coyotes, cougars, those guys will be looking for a handout for sure.
Wow. Well, Julie, I tell you, this sounds like a very beautiful place that I think just about anybody who wants to get away from the hustle bustle of normal camping life would want to visit. How can I get in touch with you and take a look at this particular campground?
We have a website called thewilds.camp. So .camp.
That should be easy enough to remember.
Yeah. All of our phone number and email stuff is on there. You can get a good view of what the site looks like. I tried to sort of show people what the backing in situation is, and I'll probably put more photos on there as we get maybe somebody out here with a drone. All of our contact info is on that webpage.
Okay, and this would be a great place. A great place for just about anybody to visit when they're coming to the state of Washington and looking for something new, looking for something different, looking for a place to get away, to just be by yourself and enjoy nature as it really is. Julie, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining Daniel and I on the Happy Camper Radio Show, and best of luck to you in your new venture.
Thank you, Skip. Thanks both of you very much. I love talking about it, and I have enjoyed talking to you.
Okay, and thank you for being on the show. Wow, Daniel.
Yeah.
That would be a heck of a drive from here, but I tell you,
it's 1 day, 11 hours. I've checked.
It would probably be one of my first destinations I would go to.
I would love it. We do a lot of we like to do board games and stuff, and we'd get a couple of people together. If I could find another couple or something that like to camp and like board games, we could have a marathon up there and be in the woods and play board games all day. Walk around and just relax and just take in the silence and the nature, and oh man, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, speaking of camping, Daniel, it's time now for our featured campground of the week right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy Camper
While traveling, Daniel, it's always good to come back home. And we've got a lot of great camping destinations right here in the metro Atlanta area.
Yep.
And if anybody happens to be listening to our show and you're going to be planning a trip to the Atlanta area, definitely get in touch with us here. But I'm going to take you right now to this place right here, not very far away, Daniel. It's up on Lake Allatoona. It's the Victoria Campground, and it is our featured campground of the week right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. The Victoria Campground provides more than 70 spacious, reservable campsites, conveniently located on the dock and swimming beach. The fire rings, they've got picnic tables, they got picnic areas, drinking water, flush toilets, a whole host of other things. And Allatoona Lake is very beautiful. It's run by the Georgia Army Corps of Engineers, and that was my very first camping destination. My very first camping destination of 2023 when the camping season kicked in. And it's one of those areas I'm definitely going to go back to. And, it's like I say, it's very spacious, kind of like we're talking today with Julie. You got to have that space. You got to have that openness. And, I love going camping in places like that because, they've got deer running through the park all the time. They'll come right up to the campsite.
Oh, boy.
It's not a good thing to feed the deer and everything, but I tell you, it's beautiful to watch, and it's beautiful to take photographs. And that's one of the things I like about camping up on Lake Allatoona. Probably going to get up there again, maybe before the camping season ends. But, if you happen to be visiting the metro Atlanta area and you're looking for a great place to go camping, there's several of them around. Here's one place that you may want to consider before the season runs out, okay? It's the Victoria Campground on Lake Allatoona right here in the state of Georgia. And it is our featured campground of the week right here, Daniel.
Where? Happy Camper Radio
Happy
Show.
Camper Radio Show.
Hey.
Yeah.
Skip and Daniel. HappyCamperRadio.com.
And if you have a campground you'd like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at HappyCamperRadio.com, or this fella in front of me,
Daniel at HappyCamperRadio.com.
And be sure to include a link to the campground website. And that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. Daniel, I'm always glad to have you in the studio.
Yeah.
Glad to be
Love
talking
it.
about another episode of the Happy Camper Radio Show. We got a few more call-in guests already lined up for this month.
Stacked and packed.
Yeah, that's okay though. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home. Do exactly as I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. We're on the web 24/7 at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper. And you better believe it, folks. We're going to make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again real soon. You're listening to Happy Camper Radio.
Happy Camper Radio.